So for this loft light, I'm just do a quick sketch of it so you understand what I'm looking for. It's going to be Andrew. A quite simple design. But I can't really give you the dimensions because it's going to be up to you to decide what dimensions you want to place. And what shape you want to make it. So that's pretty much what we're going to be designing. Very simple light fixture for your desktop. Now to do this, there's plenty of ways you can do it. The simplest way is pretty much what I just did, is you draw yourself a reference drawing of what you want to do, what sizes you want to place, and we start out with the base. Pretty simple. We do a cylinder that is diameter of 6 inches. We'll do a 1 inch high. You can change that as you wish, it's fine. Now we need to create the actual pipe, or the wiring pipe, or whatever you want to call it. That's going to be like a flexible, so anybody can adjust it as they wish. I'm going to go into like a left view for reference, and if you want to create a line for the height you wish you to keep it, you can do that as well. Change that to left. So I'm going to do a spline. Well, first of all, I'm going to do a reference height of 24 inches. And then I'm going to use our spline to create a free-shaped kind of wiring harness. Accept that. And I'm going to use a cylinder or a circle shaped that is diameter of 1 inch. And you don't have to put them together to actually sweep it through. All you have to do is use the sweep command. So under extrude, you go to sweep, you select the circle, enter, you select the path, and it does it by itself. Don't have to worry about anything about that. And then you can place it into the center of your base. So that's one, and then finally I'm going to create the metal portion before the glass for the light. Pretty simple again, cylinder, this time a diameter of 3 inch. And I'm going to do a 1/2 inch thickness. Now you might need to rotate this around to accommodate your design. So go ahead and do that. Now if you're not liking how your path of this the pipe went, and it's crooked, or you want to cut straight into it, what you can do, see it's not overlapping here, I'm going to move it down. That's one option, or you can slice it to make it an even cut at the bottom. Both will work. I have that, I have this, okay, and then finally I'm going to create the actual light or the glass. To do that, I'm going to use the spline command. But before I do that, I want to create the top and bottom shape of my my light. The top portion will be a circle with a diameter maybe of 3, which is the exact same as that cylinder. I don't know where I lose it. Oh, so I might have to rotate it. Yep. And I have that piece. Now I want the base to be a weirder shape. I actually want it to be a spline, a free-formed. This is probably impossible to make, but it should be interesting. Make sure you have ortho on when you're rotating, so it's exactly to match. Give it a distance that you prefer. Doesn't have to be too far. Mine's about, I'm gonna do 6 inches. So I'm gonna snap on my lower portion to my upper portion, like so, and adjust it to be somewhat in the middle. You can rotate into UCX or use the window to view and see where the middle is compared to your part. Once you have that, you can use this as to create your loft glass, or what I try to do is make a copy first. I see what I come up with doing this loft. So I get this shape here, or I try to give it paths that it can follow, usually by the quadrants. Is my quadrant active? Yeah, it is. So what you want to do is either select, sometimes you won't be able to select the quadrant, sometimes you will be, and you create a shape that you want the loft to follow. So here's another option. I gave it one path. So it's going to be, so if it's one line, I usually call it a path. If it's more than one line, it's a guide. And if it's a path, it has to follow the path. If it's a guide, it just gives it a guidance of what shape it should be going to. Okay, so that turn is too big. My guide will not work. And you play around with those shapes, path.
Is this creating a solid, or is it just creating a surface?
That's going to create a solid. So the only problem is trying to adjust it to make it work. See, if it's turning here too strongly, it won't work. So we have to adjust that to make it a possible part. Now if you keep on snapping and it won't work for you, what you may decide to do is use a line as a reference and snap to that line.
Basically, loft basically just conforms one surface in the top
To the bottom.
to the bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
But then you can use lines to guide it, or you can use a line for it to follow, that it has to follow. So for this one, it is a path. There you go. So it follows that path. So you can really come up with some very interesting shapes. Now, the path worked on this one with a more reasonable shape. This one has a unreasonable, there's no way this can turn that fast and make it into that shape. But if I use the loft, I can use it as a guide. Didn't work. It's still too sharp of an edge. Try it one more time. I just adjusted it. There we go. And I created a new shape to that as well. All these shapes are nice. The only problem is once you create the shape, whoa, this one has a weird error, graphical error. It's there, but then if I zoom out, it crashes. But don't worry about that. Once you print it out, it's going to be normal. What you can do is you can shell them out. The only problem with shelling them out is your computer could crash. So be careful when you do it. Make sure you save your work before you do any shelling of a surface or a complex part. But I'm going to use the shell command. I'm going to shell, select the object, select the surface I want to remove, which is usually the bottom and the top, and give it a thickness of 0.125. Yeah, it crashed on me. Let's try it on this one. Shell, select. Oh, it's not working. It's overlapping itself, that's why it's crashing. This shape is not something it wants to work with. But that's alright. We can use, actually we can use this shape here. This will have to work. Huh, it's not even doing that one. That doesn't not like that curve. Alright, so we leave it as is. We don't have to shell it at this moment, but you can decide which one you prefer, or you can do a lot many more, and you place it to the bottom center. Deleting these additional lines will clean up the drawing, and you have some sort of unique unknown fixture, light fixture. Now if you guys want to go the extra step, I mean, we'll get into more about rendering later in the semester, but if you want to start placing material on your objects, what you want to do is go to your render tab. There is a materials browser. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is go to material browser. It will open up a palette somewhere on your screen. There we go, where you can select material based on a few different, either a category, a type, or a name, or the actual color it shows you a preview of. So glass, you want to probably put that into the glass and just throw in some weird colors here. Give it a unique design. Then once you have those layers placed in, all you have to do, actually, the easier way of placing the material is just dragging and dropping it onto the surface, so onto a solid object. Once you're happy with what you decided with, or you're not sure, what I always recommend, since your computers are not, school computers aren't that good, is changing from conceptual to realistic. That usually gives you a decent preview of what material you placed on your solid object. So as you can see, the actual glass is see-through. This is some concrete I placed, and I placed two different other materials. You can change them as you wish, or leave them as is. And we'll actually show you guys how to put a actual a light inside, or how to make the material glow. For this one, I'd probably recommend making this green light glow. But yeah, that's a quick tutorial of adding that material to your product. Now, if you guys don't like the shape of this, or it's too complicated with using the guidelines, you can even go with simple ellipse. Sorry. That's gonna be very big though. And let's say a hexagon. Let's grab. And just lofting it, and you will come up with some. I think it's a rotate. It's wrong rotation. There we go. Loft this out, giving you a unique shape. Now once you have actually a loft object and there's surfaces like this, actually it's a solid object, you can edit the part as is. This is a lot of playing around with, but if you feel comfortable with that, what you can do is hold Control, select a surface, you'll see a point. That's an adjustment point where you can actually adjust the part. Just turn off ortho. Oops. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, that's what you don't want to set. The center point is actually to scale. That's not going to help you. What you want to do is select edges, and those edges, while you hold Control, will extend or change in size. We'll get further in that a little bit later. I don't want to lose you guys in this. We'll actually use this more into mesh options, because mesh is really good on that. So recorded. So for this project, I'm expecting you guys to do some kind of base. Doesn't have to be a circular base, a swept circle or any other shape. So you're using the sweep command, you're using another base, and you're using a loft command with guides or without guides, or with a path or no path. It's just going to get you more comfortable with using 3D as you're drawing around. Make sure you rotate your parts so they're aligning so you can make it work. And also you have to keep an eye on your UCX, otherwise you're making your life a lot tougher. Now if you wish to put the material, that's great. If not, that's also acceptable. Kind of went on the away side, but it doesn't look quite what I had before over here as a 2D sketch, but you guys get the idea. Actually, I can probably still work with this. And actually, this one's going to be pretty simple. Create a circle with the O snap, the center, and a center here. I can loft these out with guides. So instead of doing what I just did, I could just do that. That also works. Same with the cylinder here, and which I can just do extrude. Snap onto that. And I can also create a circle here. I think it was this wide with the sweep command. I select the circle, select the path, and I do the final step, which is the base. I trace it over, extrude it out based on that distance. So even if you do a 2D drawing, you can really make it fast into a 3D part without a problem. Again, once I have that complete, I can just add material to it. And remember, you guys, I'm in realistic, so that way I can see a preview of the material as I place it. Hey, Joe.